Welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be absolutely epic because we are live in person with my dear friend and fellow raw vegan, Shane Sterling, Raw Vegan Heroes, the legend himself. Hey, how's it going?
Hello, Gillian.
Give me a big hug.
Hi. Hello.
How are
I'm so
you?
glad to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast. And hello to everybody who's watching. I hope this video provides immense value.
This is going to be awesome. And Shane and I have known each other for a long time. He's been a mentor of mine as far as health goes, business. He's amazing. He looks amazing. He's over 50 years old. Well, he just turned 50 this year, right? And we are live in person. It's so exciting. It's just a deeper connection. It's another level. So we're so happy to be together here in LA. So for those of you who don't know, I want to start with Shane's story because I know going raw has totally changed your life, transformed your health, transformed your business, every single area of your life. So for anybody who doesn't know, let's start with that, like where that started and what happened when you turned to only raw food.
Well, for one, going raw vegan is like an incredible edge to life. It's an edge that I need to be in my excellence, to excel in life in every way, my relationships, my business. And you know, when we go 100% raw, we feel a little bit of an edge. Maybe it's not even that noticeable. Maybe it's like subtle at first. But if we lose that edge, if we start having cooked food again, we notice it. That's a benchmark that we will always feel and always have in our life. So we'll always strive to get back to that place. And that's what's so incredible about raw food is it really changes us permanently. It gives us a new bar to reach, a new paradigm of awareness in our life. And so I've been unable to let myself have the luxury of not having that bar. I always strive to be 100% raw because it makes me feel my best, perform my best, feel that connection. And I think that's the key, is feeling the incredible connection and connection with people. When we are connected, we have a better life because connection is currency. Connection is the currency of the universe. So we have more resources and our network grows and our network becomes our net worth. And we have a better quality of life in every single possible way.
Wow.
So the connection starts within us though. So raw food gives us the cellular connection. Our electrons are firing, our cells are communicating, the neurons are transmitting between our gut and our brain properly. So that can't be underestimated because that sets a precedent for the connection outside of our physical body and the world around us. So it's the inner and the outer, so as above, so below. It's the macro and the micro. If we treat our body in that way, it gives the precedent for our whole life to operate in that way. So that's what I strive for. That's why I'm 100% raw. And I keep coming back to it. You know, we are just human. I don't promote perfectionism in any way. I promote realism. So we're going to have a bite of cooked food here and there as raw vegans. And you can feel, you know, that that's not the high vibration. That doesn't give you that incredible edge. Raw food feels amazing.
It feels amazing. And I feel like once you've experienced it, then it's even harder. Once you know how it feels, it's harder to like have to go off track because you just know how this feels. And you're like, I got to get back to that. Anytime I've had anything cooked, I'm like, I don't want to feel this way. I just want to get back. Like we just had a green juice before we got on here and I'm like buzzing, electric, happy, high vibe, right?
Yeah. And you know what, for people who do get off track, because of course they do. I'm a coach, so I work with thousands of people. I hear a lot of stories and I really care about people's experience. And for people who do get off track, it's not about doing it wrong. It's about failing forward. It's about realizing that, hey, you maybe set a new bar because you tried raw for a month. And going back to cooked food doesn't mean you failed. It just means, hey, now you got a new bar to strive for.
Yeah. So like, how do we not beat ourselves up? Like if we fall off track. I fell off track once this year in Miami. I ate cooked food at a vegan festival. And it was a massive difference in how I felt, like my dehydration, just how I felt overall. And then like I started beating myself up in my head. Why did I do this? Here we waste a day till I get back to feeling good. So how can we avoid that and like stay positive mentally when we know we're not making the right choices for us?
Yeah, well, that's the $1 million question, because it's really about the vision we have for our life. What vision do we have for our life? Do we want to be great? Do we want to make a difference? Do we want to change the world? Do we want to have an impact that makes a difference for others? So if we do, then that's going to be our North Star. That's going to guide us. Well, I need to be in excellence. So it requires discipline. It requires that self-care and the intimacy with our daily choices. And some people might not have that because they don't have a vision for their life. And so I would say more than discipline, more than willpower, more than motivation, more than a plan, what we need is a vision for our life. And if we don't have a vision for our life, if we've never created a compelling vision for our life, the best thing you can possibly do is surround yourself with people who have vision. So I am a vision-led person. I call myself a visionary because every single choice I make is out of vision. And so I run my group coaching program. And so that's why people join my program, is to be around others with vision, because I lead that with vision. And so until we have the confidence and the certainty to do it on our own, I think it's important that we surround ourselves with other people who do. And that's mentorship and apprenticeship. So the quickest way to go from where we are to where we want to be is mentorship and apprenticeship, like learning how to be a seamstress or a cobbler or a blacksmith. Sometimes we need to learn a craft. And if you don't have discipline or mindset, you need to learn the craft of mindset and discipline.
And did you always surround yourself with the right people? Like when you weren't raw, were you still around? Like, did you still make an effort to be around the right people like that?
I tuned into it at a younger age because I've always seen myself as successful in life. So in my 20s and early 30s, when I wasn't successful, I said, wait, there's a discrepancy in my life between how I see myself and what the results I have. So I started to experiment vigorously with like, how do I get different results? And there's only one answer, which is apprenticeship, mentor with somebody.
That's like your keys to success? Like
It's the key. It's the absolute key.
Because you're really successful. You're doing great. It must feel good, but I'm sure like you want to strive for more and more, right? Like what are the keys?
Well, my vision is impact and reach and success. I want to see a world that is thriving, not enslaved by their consciousness, not enslaved by low vibrational choices, diet and lifestyle. Eating animals is so low vibration. Eating cooked food even is low vibration. It's not in our best interest to operate in that way. So I'm only as strong as the weakest link. So for everybody out there who is eating cooked food and who is not empowered financially in their diet and their lifestyle and their health and their relationships, for them to not be empowered means I'm not empowered because I'm connected. Because I was saying, the connection. I'm raw vegan because I'm a connected person. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm connected, so I knew I needed to be raw vegan. But being raw vegan makes me feel it even more, and it fuels my fire. It fuels who I've always been destined to be.
Wow.
So when I found raw food, I instantly knew it was my path. It was like I was searching for the truth, the key that was going to be my thing that I could run with, that my message that I've been looking for my whole life. And when I went raw vegan, I said, oh my God, this is it. Actually, when I did my first 40-day juice fast.
Yes. Okay. So when you first went, so you were eating standard American diet and then did you go cold turkey and going to go on a juice fast?
Cold turkey juice fast. Yep. And I had learned about raw food when I was 30. I had come across the Essene Gospel of Peace, and I read that book, and I understood the principles of cleansing, raw food, purifying our body. I've always been into health. I'm a very intuitive person. But it took me 15 years of being out of alignment, discomfort, things not working how I wanted them to say, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to really heal myself. I'm going to get intimate with my choices and my self-care. And so I did a 40-day juice fast, really cold turkey, like out of desperation in a way. Like enough is enough. I'm 44 years old. That's when I did my first 40-day juice fast. And if I don't do this now for myself, I'm going to continue to deteriorate. I'm going to continue to age poorly. I'm going to be a slobby middle-aged person or man, which I really didn't want to be.
No.
So the 40-day juice fast was a way to just go all the way in, claim it, claim my health, claim the vision for my life. And out of that experience, I will say it really literally changed my life. I had some downloads during that juice fast that showed me who I was, almost like a remembering of who I am and what my message is on this planet and what I'm supposed to do here. And I had that great gift come to me during that juice fast. So I tell people these are the kind of miracles that can happen. Not that automatically by doing a juice fast, you're going to have like a life-changing epiphany like that, but why not?
But
give it a shot.
It's
Maybe.
easier, right? With the raw foods and with the juices, it's easier to get those downloads and feel more connected. Like, why do you think that is?
It's purification.
Yeah.
Less in the way. People always think like, well, what can I put in my body to make myself healthy? The real magic is what you take out of your body to make yourself healthy. When you purify your body, you're giving a cleaner firing of the neurons and the cells and the neurotransmitters. So everything's working better. Plus electrons are required for the cells to make energy. Enzymes in raw food bring the electrons into the mitochondria of the cell. So you're literally firing your cells on all cylinders.
And it's funny, like a lot of people don't even know about enzymes, right?
Yeah.
Because like I spend a lot of time talking to Lou Corona too. And he's just like, it's like so many people still come up to him or still like don't even know what's enzymes. What's that? It's like people should be educated because that's everything, right?
Yeah. Enzymes are the key to life, literally the key to life. What makes everything work and grow, what turns an acorn into a oak tree, and what makes our body work. And it's only in raw food. So when we cook our food, unfortunately, we're destroying all of the enzymes, which is the critical life force. And life without enzymes is not a life that you want to live. I mean, people don't even understand the power of enzymes in their food and how good it can make you feel. And it's the difference. So I would say eating a diet that isn't 100% full of enzymes just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense at all.
So if somebody's like, well, I want to feel this good, I want to try this, like I have no idea where to start, like I eat not very good right now or mostly cooks, like where do you think that they should start with? Like it's 40-day juice fast. Do you think that's ideal for most people, or like what do you think is best, or everybody's different?
Our biology is all exactly the same. We all have a digestive tract, and eating a SAD diet or cooked foods means our digestion is slow, sluggish, weak. It atrophies. We become dependent on these cooked foods. We become dependent on the stimulant nature of meat and dairy and animal products. And so our bowels are the key functionality of our entire vessel. Our divine vessel requires our bowels be operating at peak performance. So you have to start in the bowels. No matter who you are, what walk of life you come from, what age you are, how you eat, what your diet is, you have to start with the bowels. Because the body is a machine, it's mechanical. I mean, its bowels bring the nutrition through the blood, and then the cells excrete waste out the bowels. It's like in through the bowels, out through the bowels. So if your bowels aren't working properly, your vitality is not going to be working properly. So the best way to boost your vitality to the next level and make yourself feel and look better, drop years off the way you look, refresh your energy and your outlook on life is to do a juice fast.
Yeah.
Yes. And juice fasting is a temporary intervention protocol. Okay? Juice fasting is not a diet. It's not a lifestyle. You don't have to juice fast the rest of your life, but you can teach yourself and retrain your body and your neurotransmitters where life force comes, where vitality comes from. It comes from the living structured water and the enzymes and the phytonutrients. And then you're going to feel it. You're going to reset your body and you're going to have a whole new bar, and you're going to understand. It's like an education. I mean, you'll learn more on a 40-day juice fast than 8 years in college, guaranteed. It's
so
more
spiritual.
valuable. Yeah, it's more valuable.
No, I did 37 days once. I think that was right before I joined your group. That was 2019. I was just starting to go through a separation. I was like, literally my world just came crumbling down. We lost everything. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try juice fast. I was led to that. It was literally the best 37 days of my whole life. And you inspired me for that too. So thank you.
Cool. Yeah.
And I joined your group because you had just started a group. This was like years ago. You're still doing it now. It's so successful. And I'm joined up with Shane for that. It's amazing. I'll link it below so you guys can join. But it was a great source of connection too. And that helped me get through the juice fast. And juice fasting changed my life too. And I think a lot of people don't realize too, like how backed up they can be in there and like how much a juice fast can benefit them. Like some people might think, well, I'm going to the bathroom once a day or my stomach's flat, but they could still have like waste in there and not realize, right? Even if their stomach's flat and they're going to the bathroom once a day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because there's biofilm and there's impacted waste in the GI tract that we don't know about. And there's just an accumulation of mucus and hardened proteins, crystallized acids that accumulate over time. And these are not easy to get out, especially if you're eating cooked food. Even 1% cooked food in the diet at all will bring detoxification to a grinding halt. Your body cannot detox if you're having even a small percentage of cooked food. You got to go 100% raw. And juices takes it to the next level where your body actually will focus on elimination. That's the magic. When you stop digesting food, but you still take in the calories and the nutrients from juice, your body switches gears to elimination mode. It's like desperately trying to eliminate, but we stop it from eating cooked food. So when we do a juice fast, all of a sudden the body shifts to elimination mode and whoa, the floodgates open and we remove all these toxins and things like gunking up the works. And it's like cleaning the engine, giving a tune up to a high performance sports car. All of a sudden that engine's going to rev and you're going to feel it, and it's going to be life changing.
And you notice such a difference too. Like, I know we talked about it a bit, but mentally, like, that's the biggest thing for me on the juice fast. My mind was so clear. Like, it was just so clear. And it was like, you get those like inspiring thoughts, you get on a higher frequency, and you get those downloads just like effortlessly. It's like so clear. Like, why do you think it's so clear when we go to juice fast? And then like if we're overeating or something, like our thoughts can be kind of all over the place.
Yeah, well, I think it's just the simple carbohydrates from the juices help the brain fire very efficiently with the enzymes and the purification of the water, cleaning the cells. So it's the combination of fueling the brain activity plus purifying the cells. And that combination gives us an extreme clarity, plus not the burden of digestion. What most people don't realize is that digesting food takes so much energy.
Yeah.
It takes all of your energy, in fact. And when you just digest raw food or have juices, or especially doing a juice fast, all of a sudden the reserves, the energy stores of the body are freed up to give your brain energy and your clarity. So the level of clarity that can come to you on a juice fast is next level, spiritual level almost. And the cool thing is that we can harness that. And that's what I did on my juice fast, because I'm a very intentional person. If we put intention into doing the juice fast for epiphanies, for clarification, for life purpose. Say you don't know your life purpose and you want to know, why, God, am I here on this planet? What am I supposed to be doing? I have a feeling that there's more to life. Well, what if you did a juice fast and you asked your higher self to give you extra clarity during that time of purification? That's like a 1-2, like next level practice and technique to find information that is within you that you might have forgotten or don't have access to.
And I swear, like, you just get these synchronicities. You hear like God in the universe talking to you on the juice fast. Like, you know, you hear, you just like in ways that you didn't before. You're just like, oh, wow. Like, you're just so in tune. It's so amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. I have one memory of going out, the very first juice fast I did. It was the first time I ever experienced it. I walked outside one day and I walked into my garden, and every plant and the bees were vibrating at a frequency. I could feel it. I could literally feel the plants. I was like, whoa, I've never experienced that before. Almost like I could feel the life force coming off of them. Now that's a cool feeling. And as I've been 100% raw for years on end, that feeling has normalized, but is still there. So I feel extremely connected to everything, even inanimate objects. I feel the connected like matrix around me, but it's so normal. It's just it's my normal operating mode. So that gives me an edge to life. That's the edge that I was talking about in the beginning that is really hard to beat. It's next level. And so if I was to eat cooked food every day for a week, you know, like say have quinoa or rice or potatoes, like just a little bit every day for a week, that like crystal sparkly edge would start to just diminish a little bit. And then after a week, I might notice, I'd be like, wait a second, I've lost, where did that go? You know, I can get right back there. But it's like, if we don't have, you know, enough raw food in our diet, we're never going to experience that. And then of course, if we're eating a fully cooked diet, where we have no raw food in our diet or a very significant amount, we're going to be operating at a very subpar level of life, like almost like a shell of ourselves, like a shadow of ourselves, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I believe that most of humanity is operating like that right now, currently, outside these walls. Right now, most of humanity is operating in like a shadow of their potential self. So what are we going to do? Are we going to wake up to who we really are and take on the responsibility of like intimacy with our self-care and our self-love and treating this vessel with the purest divine foods? Or are we going to continue with this subpar way and say that's good enough? That's the question that we're all faced with. And animal products really take it down even a further notch. You know?
And I feel like the way that their lives are taken and stuff, right? Like they say all these hormones are released when an animal's killed or whatever. And then they say like you kind of take on a bit of, like they release all these stress hormones and stuff. Obviously, they're not happy to have that happen. And they say you kind of take that on when you consume them. Do you think that that's true?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's adrenaline pumping through the veins of those animals at the time of death, not to mention the estrogenic hormones that are naturally in animal products that are very detrimental. And most animals that are in these factory farm systems are mothers, they're nursing mothers.
I know.
They're like, they have hormones from being pregnant and nursing. That's how we get the meat. It's disgusting. And so we're ingesting all of these hormones. And then our body becomes dependent on these stimulants. Also, livestock are fed supplements. So not only do we get supplements in the animal products, but the adrenaline and the hormones that stimulate us like a drug. And then when we come off of animal products, we feel weak and disoriented, like withdrawing off of crack or heroin. And there's a withdrawal symptom period. So that's why most people say that they can't be vegan, and vegan diet made them sick because, you got sick from withdrawal symptoms.
Yeah. And okay, which do you think is worse? I'm just curious. If someone were to eat like a pretty clean diet with a little bit of animal products, say, or they're fully vegan, but they're eating like the Impossible Burgers and all that.
That's a tough call.
Yeah, it's tough.
Everybody
always gives a different answer for that. Some people are like, it's the vegan junk food. And then other people are like, you're better off eating a little bit of whatever.
I would say from my experience, I'm a longtime vegan, 20 years vegan. I've been mostly vegan 34 years.
Wow.
I don't like animal products. I avoid them energetically.
Yeah.
So I would say on an energetic level, the reason I've been mostly vegan for 34 years is because I don't like the vibration of the death going in my body. So in that way, I'd say that the processed food version would be better without animal products. I think something magical happens when the body fully regenerates without animals being in the body, when there's no animal protein in the body at all. Every 7 years, our cells recycle. Right? So our brain tissue, the bone marrow, the deeper tissues of our body all regenerate after 7 years. We're a totally new person every 7 years.
That's so cool.
So if you can go through a full regeneration cycle without animal products, no dairy, no eggs, no butter, no meat, something magical happens.
I know.
Yeah,
wow.
I felt it in my life when I hit the 7-year mark. I had a huge spiritual epiphany, awakening in my life. I was 24 at the time because I went vegan at 17. That was the first time I went vegan in my life. I was strict vegan for many years, but at the 7-year mark, at the age of 24, I had the biggest spiritual awakening of my life, and everything came crashing down. Like it was very stressful, actually, and I felt like there was like the dimensions were collapsing in, and I could see aliens, and all kinds of crazy stuff was happening to me.
Wow.
Literally, my intuition was through the roof, and my intuition was telling me that it was because I had been off of animal products that I was experiencing an upgrade. That was what was happening. And, intuition is far more important than intellect. Intuition can guide us to understand how to help people, what people need, what the nature of reality is really like. The intellect can only take us so far. If we're school learned or book learned, it doesn't give us the edge.
So how do we listen to our intuition more?
Yeah, well, that's the question. That's why I'm vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm fully raw.
Mm-hmm.
So I have better access to my intuition. So
yeah,
I would say go vegan. Give yourself 7 years to come off of the withdrawal symptoms, and then go raw. Go raw, go high raw, do a 40-day juice fast. I mean, that's access to your intuition that you're not going to get any other way. Besides that, you might meditate. You might do like internal, techniques and practices with your own internal dialogue and stuff like that.
And that's one good thing about being raw. I feel like I always say this, but it's so true. It just leads to one more good habit. You eat clean, then you're like, let me go to the gym, let me meditate, let me do this. And don't you feel like it's kind of the same thing for the bad habits? It's just a domino effect of those habits. And that's what really builds your life. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Habits and discipline go hand in hand. I say how we do one thing is how we do everything. So start with one thing, like going to the gym consistently. That's one habit that will spill over into all your habits, and eventually you'll have all the habits on lockdown. Like for me, my habits have to be at an impeccably high performance level for me to feel like I can even operate at all. No alcohol, no caffeine, fully raw vegan, no cooked food. I go to the gym 5 days a week. I try to get good sleep, all like hydrating all day. And this is to just function at a baseline, what I consider to be the minimal functional baseline for my life.
Yeah. And do you miss like alcohol and these things? Like, the rest of the world doesn't eat like us, right? Do you ever have moments where you're like, oh, walking by a restaurant, I wish I was dining out with the girl, having a bottle of wine, eating a steak? Like, do you ever miss that stuff or no?
I continually, I always say to my girlfriend, Wouldn't it be nice if I could just drink whiskey every day? God, I'd love that. I
Right?
would love to drink whiskey
If we could
every
just
day.
have all the crap and still feel
Yeah,
good.
I could smoke and drink and like
Yeah,
eat
right?
meat. I would love to do that. But that would make me an empty shell of a human. And I wouldn't be able to operate in the way that I feel called to operate on this planet at this time in my life. So like I was saying, for me, it's a minimal baseline, minimal. And then from there, I can do other things like excel at business,
Yeah.
excel at other areas of life. Like financial freedom is a huge goal for me. Creating passive income, understanding the nature of how to serve people, create products that serve people and solve people's needs and solve a problem and make a difference for people. That's the level I'm at now. So my raw vegan lifestyle, my intuition has led me to be a very successful businessman.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, tell us a little bit more about how that's changed your business life and changed your life as a whole going raw versus if you never did that.
Yeah, well, for one, I always say it this way. Being raw allows me to receive life's challenges as they come more fluently, more eloquently. So when we're kind of down, eating cooked food, not feeling our best, just not operating at a high performance, we might be met with a threshold of transformation, but we don't take it. We don't walk through the threshold of fear because we're not ready. We feel like we need something more, like, oh, I'm not ready for that. Like, I got to get that degree. I got to get healthier. I got to lose that weight. When in reality, there's nothing stopping us. In this exact moment, we need to say yes to the challenges. The universe is giving us the exact next step to take at every moment. There's a wave coming like every couple minutes in your life. And if you don't take those waves, you're never going to get the buoy to the next level, the upgrade, the 2.0.
The upgrade, yeah, the elevating to the next
Yeah,
level.
so you have to, so the intuition and the vibration is saying yes. And being raw gives you that confidence. It gives you an edge of confidence you can't get any other way. There's no way that any other lifestyle gives you that edge of confidence. And then when business is calling, when your threshold of up-leveling your life, like creating a product, a program, a digital course, a membership, you're like, oh yeah, okay, now's the time I'm going to do that. I'm going to find the way to invest. I'm going to create a business. You can go out and get a job right now for free. Why are jobs free? Because you're a slave to someone else. But if you start a business, you create financial freedom for yourself and you create confidence within yourself and you provide a service to others. So playing small and just getting a job and calling that good enough is absolutely unacceptable, in my opinion. We all have a calling in our heart to do more in our life. And entrepreneurship is the way to do that.
And how do you think people can figure out, like, say they want to break into entrepreneurship and they want to be doing something they love, they're passionate about? How do you think that they can figure out, like, maybe they want to work online or something, work for themselves? How do you think they can figure out if they feel lost and confused, like what to add value, what to create, what to do? Like, how did you figure out? Because you're super successful with your group, with the programs, with everything. Like, how did you figure out which direction to take? And what should people focus on? A few things, one thing? Like, what do you think?
Well, right now, my membership, and I think memberships are the coolest business model in the world today because it is community and it's connection. Connection is currency. It builds your network and it builds a community. And having a community is the most amazing feeling. So my group coaching program, Raw Vegan Heroes, is the foundation of my income, which is like $500,000 right now per year. And I built that in 3.5 years.
That's amazing.
So that's pretty amazing. Now I'm a successful businessman because I've done that before. I've created very successful businesses in the past. But I did it with my membership this time because I wanted to, I needed to. It was a calling. The calling came and the vision of how to do it and why to do it came when I connected with my trauma. If you are able, so when you say, what's my purpose in life? Like, what is my message? How can I create a business and solve a problem for people? The answer lies, one of the clues lies in your original wounding.
Wow.
Your original wounding actually is like a signpost. It's like the universe saying, hey, look this way, go on this path.
Sometimes trying to send you in a different direction? Yeah, it's trying to wake you up sometimes, right?
It's trying to wake you up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like an imprint that we were given at birth that the trauma happens, we're triggered because it's a part of us. And that trigger of the wounding actually shows us who we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do. This is transformational stuff right here.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm successful. Because if you take your shame and you bring it to the surface and you lead with your shame and you say, yes, I'm shameful of this part of myself, but you know what? Gosh darn it, this is part of me. And this shame is not going to control me anymore. right there, bam, you've just broken through. And whatever that is for you, that's the key to how you can serve people at the highest level.
Wow. That's amazing. So well said. So like aha and inspiring. Are there any moments that come to mind with your life where you feel like, whoa, the universe was trying to show me I'm off track? Like I interviewed Elizabeth Lambert and all these things were happening. She had a car accident. I forget the exact story, but she knew like this was the universe trying to tell her, you're not supposed to be a dentist anymore, or whatever it was. You're supposed to go in the health direction. Like, is there any story that comes to mind where you know the universe was being like, pop, wake up, Shane, go here.
Yeah.
And maybe it felt horrible at the time, but it ended up being the best thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a story. I mean, I have a lot of stories of being woken up with a hard slap by the universe. But the one that got me on my raw vegan path, the reason I have my membership, Raw Vegan Heroes, and why I've chosen to do the raw message as my method to help people and to be the foundation of my business is because, for one of my original woundings is the sense of abandonment on this planet, that I don't belong here. Why did I feel like I didn't belong here as a kid? That's a good question.
Whoa, someone in the room was just saying that to me before this call or before this. So that's like, just gave me goosebumps. Sorry to interrupt.
So I call it abandonment wounding because I felt abandoned on this planet. Like I don't belong here. I can't make a difference. Like I'm just weird. I'm different. I don't fit in. And I don't want to eat animals. And yet the whole world is eating animals. So one of my really sensitive triggers when I was a very young teenager was that I wanted to be vegan and no one else understood or believed me. I was ridiculed and put down for that choice back in the early 90s when I went vegan, and it was very wounding. And so that came into focus for me in this hard slap from the universe when I just really got out of alignment. I was running other businesses and stores. I had clothing stores, and my clothing stores were very successful. I had a women's yoga clothing store and I had a costume store. Very successful businesses, but I had burned out completely. And my wife at the time said, Shane, you are burned out. You need to take a break. She's like, I'll cover everything. She had a coaching business at the time. She was a successful coach and she was making enough money to give me a little break. She said, take 2 years off and reinvent yourself. That's going to be my gift to you because of how burned out you are. So I said, that sounds like probably a good idea. I sold my businesses. It took months to sell my businesses. I did. I sold them.
Were they in California?
In California.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sold them. And then about 2-3 months after I sold my business, and I was like, oh my God, I have no business right now. I'm really vulnerable. I have no income. My ex-wife's father committed suicide, and it threw her into a tailspin.
Wow, yeah.
And she stopped earning money.
Whoa.
Now we have 2 little kids. She's in grief, can't get out of bed. And I just sold my business that was making all this money. I was at a freaking crossroads. I was at a do or die moment. I was like, I don't get the luxury of the 2 years off to reinvent myself, do I? And I had to jump at that point. Wow. And I had to connect, and I really connected. I said, this is a crossroads. I am either going to do this or I'm going to be a failure the rest of my life. I felt it. Like if I didn't take it. And so I asked myself, what is my wounding? Why am I stopping myself? Why am I not successful? Why am I not on purpose? And the message came to me that I needed to help with people go vegan and understand how to be a successful vegan. I had it come to me so clear that I knew at that moment that that was my path. And I took it on to create a coaching business and to support people with a membership community and connection. So the Raw Vegan Heroes membership that I offer is more than just knowledge. It's accountability, connection with community and like-minded people and friends. I have lifelong friends. We met in Raw Vegan Heroes. We met in Raw Vegan Heroes.
Yeah.
This is the first time I met you.
Yeah.
And so that's the power. We have connection through these types of vehicles. And that's the vehicle that matters most is connection.
Yeah, it's so true. And then I remember even through that, like I started my YouTube channel because you inspired me and I was so inspired about being raw vegan. And then you were one of my first interviews. I remember I was so nervous. And I remember when I asked you, I was like, oh my gosh, he said yes. I think you had like 10,000 subscribers or something. I just started my channel. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So thanks for being an inspiration to me. And I want to ask you, okay, so back to that a little bit. What if it's not a job, but what if somebody's like, I have a few friends or like, I know I've been there before. People have been there. What if like somebody's in a relationship and there was somebody who's providing for them, but they're not happy in the relationship? And they're like, well, I need to wait. I know the relationship's not right, but I need to wait until the finances are right. Do you think that they should just take the leap and leave the relationship and trust that the universe will make things happen? Or they should stay until the finances are in order? Because, you know, I think a lot of people are in that situation though.
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's, you know, people get safe, whether, you know, they have kids or they get safe. And then they're like, I'm not, like, I know quite a few people that I talk to, you know, and they're like, I'm not happy, but I have a kid. Like, what do I do? I'm not supporting myself. I depended on this person. When you're dependent on somebody, that's another thing I want to talk to you about too, like the depending on somebody thing.
Well, it's a really, really important question. The more we take on our own personal empowerment, say through going raw vegan, and we surround ourselves with other raw vegans, like we join Raw Vegan Heroes, we start to make that connection. We feel the power. We're going to create a chasm between ourselves and our partner who is not vegan or is not raw vegan. It's very important that we do that work. It's okay the chasm grows, because what we're doing is we're empowering ourselves, and the chasm is going to grow in a lot of areas of life. This is why this is why memberships are so valuable, and entrepreneurship, because then we can create a community for ourselves, a culture and connection for ourselves. People think that if I do this, if I go vegan, if I go raw, I lose my connections. But those aren't the right connections.
Yeah, I love
right?
that. It's so true.
Those aren't the right connections to focus on. You need to have faith that the universe will provide you with the connections when you empower yourself. So you've got to choose you first. Somebody just asked me today in the airport as I was flying here, what do I do with my husband who's not vegan and I want to go raw? I said, you have to choose you first. If you don't choose you, you're choosing going down with the Titanic.
I thought you were going to say you have to leave. That's what I thought was coming out. It's hard though.
What happens is going to be fate, and it's going to empower you. And you can't doubt and question the power of the universe to support you when you choose yourself, because the details are not important. The universe will come in and support you.
Yeah. And what do you think about relationships? Like, if you're okay with opening up about this, like I know with your wife, you guys, I think you're divorced now, right?
We are.
Did it, like for you, do you think and if you don't want to answer this, I'll cut it out for sure. Did it become hard, like when you change lifestyles? Like, do you think it's possible for people to be like raw and then in a relationship with somebody who eats everything and then maybe that person drinks and...
Nope, because it's vibrational. You'll either lower to their vibration or they'll rise to your vibration, period. Or you'll struggle to try to meet in the middle, and that will be a struggle and a power struggle that never ends, and that will be unpleasant. So when I chose myself and I said I'm going to be raw vegan and I'm going to make a difference and I'm going to empower others and I'm going to start a business around this and a membership to empower others, that was the end of my marriage at that moment. But look what I've created. I have thousands of members in Raw Vegan Heroes, lifelong friendships. The sense of connection and the support from the universe I feel is so next level. There's no question I made the right choice. However, the casualty in that was a relationship that was not a vibrational match. And we are still good friends because I'm a very spiritual person. So is she. So we honor each other. But in a relationship context, no, that needed to end. Me choosing myself and going raw vegan was just the catalyst and the reflection, the mirror held up to both of us that we were holding on to something that wasn't a vibrational match anyway. So it's okay to be in a relationship that's not a vibrational match, but you're going to have to ask yourself, is that serving your highest empowerment?
And how were you able to let it go? Because I know a lot of people, they can feel like attached and like if they've been with that person so long too, maybe they can't imagine their life without that person. Like, how were you able to let that go and embrace the new, embrace the future, embrace the possibility of somebody different and things like that? And not stay like, it's easy to get comfortable and just for people to stay, you know?
Well, yeah, change can be hard, but if we're not growing, we're dying. And we're either on, this is how I put it, we're either on an up escalator or a down escalator, and there's no in between. There's no escalator that's not moving in life. If we're not consciously creating momentum with our energy and creating the inertia of growth and transformation, then we are on the down escalator to disempowerment. That gets us further out of alignment the longer we don't listen. and we go further down and descend into more and more disempowered places within ourselves, then it really becomes a problem. So what we need to do is get onto the up escalator. It takes inertia, it takes momentum, it's growth, it's transformation. And we need to embrace the dance with the universe and the eye of transformation. That's what life is for. If we, for 1 second, think we came to this planet to have it be comfy and easy, we were mistaken. This is a place to learn. This is the Earth School. We are in class here, and we are learning how to be empowered and how to thrive. So we need to embrace change for our highest good. We need to embrace entrepreneurship instead of slavery. We need to embrace raw food instead of animal products. This is the bottom line. This is why we are going to struggle if we don't make these choices. And when we do make the choices, the temporary struggle in the interim is only the little bit of hurdle and inertia to get to the next plateau, the next game board, which is a whole new level of game. So you're playing chess on this level, but when you make those choices, you get to go to a whole new game board.
And then you don't even realize, like, whoa, how amazing this was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, one thing I really love about you and respect and admire is you definitely take ownership of your life, and you're a creator and you don't blame anyone. You know that your life is in your control. And I'm just wondering, like, were you always like that? Or did you go through periods where you felt like a victim and you blame people? And if we do blame, like, as we get older, it can be easy to blame people. Do you have any tips for like how to take ownership of your own life, let that go, realize nobody else is in charge of our life, right? Like, it's up to us, our life, right? Completely.
Yeah, that's such a good question, Gillian. A thoughtful question. Yeah. I have been a victim most of my life, to be honest.
Wow.
I was a victim until the moment I was not a victim. And I would blame the government. I would blame other people. I would blame the economy. I would blame the struggle of the world. Oh, this is an inhospitable place. Oh, God, I was born into this crazy place. I don't like this. I don't fit in. I don't belong. I can't make a difference. And I played that card all the way up until age 44.
Wow.
Yep. And so that was only 6 years ago for me. You know what shifted was leadership. I call it leadership. I decided that nothing else outside of me mattered. It was really a momentary decision where I decided, if it's meant to be, if it's up to me. If I'm going to enjoy my life, it's up to me. If I'm going to make money, it's up to me. If I'm going to have the lifestyle I want, it's up to me. There's no one else who's going to do it for me. No one's going to come save me. I deserve to thrive in this lifetime. One of the most miraculous things I've experienced is realizing that what we do is actually enough. Because one of the really despairing aspects of reality that we can get lost and confused by is thinking that because it's a big world, that our little effort is not enough. Like, no matter what we do, we're just one person and we really can't have a big impact. We can't save all the animals. Like, whatever it is for us, we have this mechanism inside of us that says, I am not enough. And what I do is not enough. And that is the arrow through the heart of our soul and our spirit of surviving here on this planet and thriving. And what really actually is the truth is that every little thing we do is enough. And one of the huge breakthroughs now that fuels me every day, that confirms and affirms me as a human being, is that when I apply myself through my business, when I work with people as a coach, when I hear people's stories, when I serve people, I know that's enough. When I don't put animals in my mouth, I know that's enough. I'm doing my part, and there's a huge relief and alleviation. It's like taking 1,000,000 pounds of bricks off your chest.
Wow.
And all of a sudden you buoy up to the surface of the illusion. You break through the illusion, and losing illusions makes us wiser than finding a truth. And so when we find that truth, that what we do actually does make the hugest difference and has a rippling impact throughout time and history, and that our life matters, that's the difference. We've got to stand up. We've got to get out of our own way, and we've got to do what we came here to do. We've got to serve people. We've got to serve those who are suffering. We've got to end the complacency, the low vibration. We've got to just be better. And it's okay to take that on. It's okay to say, look, I'm going to do better. At some point, we've got to do it. I take that on for myself. It's the best thing I ever did.
Wow.
So I'm not a victim anymore. But
no,
boy,
you're not at all. Like,
yeah.
And
not at all.
And you've inspired me over the last few years not to be, because I went through the divorce and this. It's easy to blame. Oh, you financial things or the house this, the house that. So yeah, you've really helped me with that.
The other mechanism that we all experience is that everything we experience is a reflection of our own growth or shadow. So if we experience something like a partner screwing us over in a divorce or something, we've created that. We've co-created that because we need to learn something about ourselves. There's not one single thing that could possibly happen that wasn't an area in our life that we didn't need.
Wow. And do you think even when something bad like that happens, maybe it doesn't mean we're off? Like, are we still on the right track even when something bad like that happens? Or bad things happening, does that mean we're off track and we're in alignment and on the right track when things are like just going good and smooth?
No, definitely not. No, we are failing forward at every second. And our worst things that have happened to us are the tools to create the discipline and the mindset for excellence and patterns and habits that transform our life. So something bad that happens to you is actually the greatest gift that ever happened to you. It's a paradox. We live in a paradoxical world. So it's the worst thing that ever happened to you, and it's the best thing that ever happened to you simultaneously.
Yeah.
So the entrepreneur, the powerful person, the empowered person harnesses that bad experience and turns it into their habits that transform their life.
Yeah. I went through the worst thing I've ever been through in my whole life. Like, I'm not ready to talk about it on this channel in 2020. And I remember like coaching with you. I did a session and being in the group and stuff. And you were talking about that, how it like pushes you into your purpose, pushes you, and like it's a good thing. And it's what led me to this channel. So it was not a bad thing. It's what led me here. Literally,
Right.
It's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And without that horrible thing happening, I don't think I would be doing the channel, which is just the greatest thing I've ever done. I love it. And, doing things like this.
Yeah. And for me, being a victim in my life for 30 years, saying that I don't fit in, I don't belong in this messed up world, I don't like it here. That is exactly why I do what I do now and why I'm so powerful in my message and I stand so firm and I'm like a leader for others, a mentor, and people can lean on my certainty because I have spent 30 years in the shadow, in the existential crisis of life. I have paid my dues.
Yeah.
And I have learned through hardship how to have excellence in my discipline and my mindset so that I will not ever fall back into those pitfalls.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful for 30 years of victimhood. Yeah.
And it's like a butterfly almost. Like, I don't know if that's the right term to use with a guy, but it is. And don't you feel like if you say to yourself like, oh, I don't want to be here, this, that, then like, I know you talked a little bit about it, but then you're just attracting experiences that reflect that too, right? Like if we're saying,
Absolutely.
oh, the government's annoying, then look at you, maybe you're getting audited the next day. Like, do you know what I mean? Do you think that that's kind of what happens?
Yeah, our mind attracts through our thoughts. Our thoughts are things and our thoughts are forms. I actually use my thoughts so impeccably. The average person wouldn't have any idea how I manage my mind.
Wow.
I do not use certain vocabulary out of the question.
Take us into this a little bit. Really?
Yeah. Certain words, I will not use certain words, disempowering words. Like I would never say the phrase, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
Out of my vocabulary completely. I would only say, how can I afford that? Or am I going to prioritize affording that?
That's a big thing. I agree.
Yeah, that's just one example. I will not have any negative self-talk in my mind at all. If I go into anything negative at all, I immediately snap it back to how can I make a difference?
Like immediately, say you get a thought, like you just immediately make a conscious effort to change it.
Yeah, and my mind is a little bitch. And my mind is a wimp. My mind wants to give up every day. Why
does our mind do that to us?
Yeah, it just is.
Is that just part of the human experience challenge? Is that just like part of it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I feel like you're doing good at that though.
Yeah. I've trained my mind. My mind is my servant. It is not my master. My mind has no control over what happens. Only I do, my soul, my will. And my mind is just the mechanism. The ego is the way it interacts and interfaces with the world. So I need my mind, but it is my servant. Mm-hmm. And so if it ever does something I don't want, like it starts to think taxes are, illegal or unfair, that's an immediate hard stop. Because I can generate any amount of money I need to be successful at any level. Mm-hmm. So there's nobody holding me back. Mm-hmm. There is only my mind that holds me back.
I love it. And okay, what about outside your mind? Say like the news is on or things like that. Are you really careful about what you consume as far as content goes? Like the news or anything you look at or everything around you? But I mean, sometimes it's going to be there, right? You can't avoid it, but
Yeah, at this point, I'm extremely impeccable with what I allow to influence my mind. I don't let very much influence my mind. And we were talking about this before the podcast. Like, I don't take advice from people who do not have the exact results I want in life. Like, if someone doesn't have the exact lifestyle, relationships, income, I don't listen to a word out of their mouth. I just am not interested in what they have to say. Otherwise, I might get the same results they have. So for one, there can be talking heads on the news and whatnot, but I almost look at it as just a circus. It's a show. I don't take it seriously.
That's good.
I do not let it influence me at all.
I like that. And I was going to ask you, because you were saying so many great things like before we got on. And I know you go and see a lot of people speak, like a lot of successful people speak, and a lot of people that are super influential. So is there anything or anybody that stands out lately that it's inspired you, or any like business lessons or life lessons that you feel like you've picked up recently from all these events you go to and all this learning you do constantly? Like anything, wow, lately that's happened?
Yeah, I saw Brendon Burchard talk, who is probably one of the world's top life coaches. And people might not know his name because he is a very high level behind the scenes type of life coach for celebrities, world leaders, anybody who is operating at a high level performance. He makes probably $100 million a year as a coach. I'm a coach. And so I'm like inspired by that. I'll listen to what Brendon Burchard says because he has a lot more of exactly what I want. So he's someone I listen to. So I went and saw him speak, and he said something that just like was an instant arrow into my mind and heart, just like, ooh, Cupid moment. If you're not making $1 million a month from a low cost funnel, that's the only thing you should focus on.
And what exactly is a funnel?
A funnel is just a warm-up sequence to take somebody who doesn't know who you are and warm them up to who you are and what your offer is and how you help them.
I see, like emails and stuff like that. Like
it can be different things. Yeah, it can be emails, it can be videos. But he's a digital creator. So we see influencers online now, and we know what the term digital creator is. Well, he takes his mind, his inspiration, his discipline, and he turns it into courses, products, programs that solve people's problems, that help people, perform at the highest level of life. And he makes $100 million a year doing that. So, well, he says not only should you have $1 million a month funnel, but you should have multiple.
And I feel like it's way easier to make money online. Like that's just a place where it's really at these days, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. We have access to the world through the internet. The internet is the great leveler, and it levels the playing field. You know, we all have access to as much money as anybody else. You know, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett, Shane Sterling, we all have access to the exact same thing. So it is up to us to be the person that gets that type of result. Brendon Burchard, for instance, is a high level mindset expert. His mind is impeccable. He is a thought leader. He is a leader of himself. He is a coach to himself before he coaches anybody else. And that's the key. We got to coach ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and we can't
even
coach
coaches
ourselves.
have coaches. Yeah,
coaches have coaches. And actually, I'm going to his next event in Austin, Texas, where I live, and I'm going to spend 3 days with him. So these are the types of things that I prioritize in my life.
And that you feel like they're worth the money, like hiring the coaches, and it adds value.
Hiring a coach is the best money you could possibly spend.
What coaches changed your life the most? Like if you had to pick one.
I worked with a business coach for 6 years. I invested for 6 years with my business coach. I spent probably about $500,000 over 6 years with her. And I started with her low end program, her very base program, and I worked up to her highest end program, which was called her 6-figure club, which cost 6 figures a year to be part of in her mastermind circle.
Wow.
It took me, like, I came from victim mentality, like I was saying. I had successful clothing stores at the time, and I was looking for answers to break through my burnout and my limitation. I felt like I was so capped. And I hired her to learn how to be an online coach, a marketing coach. And the first 3 years I worked with her, I just had to kind of let go of things. I had to just actually become coachable. I had to actually become malleable. I was so rigid. I was so fixed. I was so annoyed by life. I was so certain that life was out to get me. I was so certain that taxes were evil and the government was evil and everything was evil. And through working with her, I realized that there was nothing stopping me. One of the most empowered people I have ever met, Bedros. His name is Bedros. He's got a crazy last name that I always forget. But he's online. You can look him up probably on YouTube. Bedros. He runs gyms. He builds gym franchises. He came from Cuba, poverty, horrible poverty.
Wow.
He makes $20 million a year.
I love that. See, we can propel in the opposite direction, right?
Yeah.
And who are some of your favorite YouTubers right now?
Well, Gillian, to be honest, you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Really? That's awesome.
No, for sure.
Wow, I appreciate that.
I really mean it.
Thanks.
Yeah. And I don't listen to a lot of YouTubers, to be honest, because of what I'm talking about right now, the mindset. I'm not interested in just, jibber jabber so much.
Yeah.
I need to listen to people who have impeccable mindset. Otherwise, it brings me down. Like we're matching vibrations. So if I listen to just random information, it'll bring me down. I have to listen to information that elevates me from the level I'm already at. And so I have to be very cautious. But what I do turn to YouTube for is mostly mindless entertainment when I need to unwind.
I do that sometimes too.
For a minute.
I do too.
On the plane ride over here, I watched a couple, mindless things. Actually, no, I watched this documentary about Steve Jobs. So that's I turn to things like that, like high level leaders. Like Steve Jobs had such an impeccably developed intuition to lead Apple to become the greatest company in the world. And although Tim Cook is obviously leading it now at this level of success, these types of CEOs that lead companies to change the world like that, that's what interests me. I need to understand how Steve Jobs thinks and how his visionary mindset actually created his success. He surrounded himself with the details of how to get that done. He pushed people to achieve the impossible, all because of his mind. It was all in his mind.
And okay, one thing about Steve Jobs, sometimes people will come on the channel and they'll be like, oh, Gillian, like the raw diet, Steve Jobs' pancreas, that's why he had the problems. And look at Ashton Kutcher when he did the movie. Like, do you have any thoughts on that?
Steve Jobs was looking for the edge his whole life. He was a visionary and a thought leader and a highly intuitive. He was one of the most intelligent people that we've had in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
And everybody, whoever knew him personally, said he was always the most intelligent person in the room. He was highly intelligent. That's why he was raw vegan. Steve Jobs was raw vegan. Okay, he was a fruit-based raw vegan with
full time though. Or I heard he was like on and off. Do you think he was...
on and off. But he's led to raw food because he's highly intelligent. And highly motivated. But his pancreatic cancer, to be honest, and this goes for every client I've ever worked with who had cancer. I've worked with people with cancer, and I see a common thread, and Steve Jobs actually epitomizes it, is that they really become despairing in life. Like Steve Jobs actually said, and it said in this documentary I watched, that at one point he said, "This is going to kill me." He said, "It's going to kill me." He was overworked. He gave his all, and he lost his will to live. He gave up. He wanted to die.
Sometimes people, maybe they decide like on a soul level.
On a soul level.
That's what I watch a lot of near-death experiences, and sometimes I hear things about that. Do you ever watch those or no?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I love that spiritual side of life.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm convinced, you could not convince me otherwise, that Steve Jobs did his work. He gave it his all. He applied himself in the way he needed to, and he was done. He gave up. He checked out. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
And raw food was another edge that he needed in his life. It had nothing to do with, it couldn't save his life because he had to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter. That's why diet is not the end all be all. Raw vegan is a step to empowerment. Raw vegan gives you an edge that can be then applied to entrepreneurship, to visionary leadership. That's what I do. Raw vegan is just my operating baseline to be an exceptional leader. And it doesn't make or break me, but I have to do that to be at the level I want. So that's why I can't eat cooked food. I'm going to always return back to raw food. But really what's driving me is not the raw food. It's the impact, the service, the reach. How do I change the world? How do I contribute? I've not reached the level of Steve Jobs. I got more work to do.
Like, what are your goals, if you want to share?
My goal is for raw vegan heroes my membership to serve the world as the #1 leading resource for vegan support in the world, to educate people on how real veganism works, not processed GMO stuff, but real veganism, whole food, raw food, high-level nutrition, mastering the detoxification, purification process so you don't need to rely on supplements, going through the detox and transition, helping people master the transition to become raw vegan. My vision for Raw Vegan Heroes is to have every world's leading vegan expert come and do guest speaking spots on our Friday live streams. Currently, I've been leading them because I've been growing this membership for 3 years. But what I see is that I will be replaced and that we will have Raw Vegan Heroes be the world's hub for vegan support, education, and community.
And it's a group of its own. Like, I've met so many friends in there. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And if somebody was going to ask you, like, I want to start with raw foods and they're not eating like 100% raw right now, because they always ask this on the channel, where should they start? Is it a juice? Because I don't think I asked you this earlier, but is it a juice fast for everybody? A little bit, yeah.
Look, the bottom line is that we have to understand some of the personal principles first of why we're motivated to change, and are we really ready to make life changes. I have a free video course called How to Go Raw Vegan Start Here Guide. My video course actually talks less about raw food and more about the emotional transformation we have to be ready to embark on. It's kind of like the hero's journey. In the hero's mythology, the hero goes on an adventure to find the treasure, the destiny, the new self. But in the process, they lose themselves. They die. The old self dies and the new self is reborn, like the phoenix rising from the ashes. If you're not ready to be the phoenix that dies and is reborn, then raw veganism is not for you.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen.
And what do you feel like happens to you if you eat a little bit of cooked food? Like, what differences do you notice?
Well, cooked food is addictive. It's delicious. It's comfortable. We love it. I mean, there's nothing like, rice and potatoes, all those starchy foods. Everybody loves it. However, if I spend a couple days in a row having foods like that, I lose the sparkly edge, the cleanness, the freshness, the lightness, the vibration that is maybe slightly unnoticeable to someone who doesn't eat fully raw. Maybe it's only, say, 5% edge. Maybe it's 1% edge. Maybe it's 0.5% of an edge, but that edge is the edge I need. And so if I lose that 5%, that 0.5% edge, that's all I can think about is how to get back to that edge. So it takes me a few more days of juicing, cleansing, raw food to flush out the starchy potatoes and rice and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm back. So cooked food is, it's addictive and it's enjoyable in a way. And then it all of a sudden robs you of everything that's most important. And you know what? That's how life works. Like the people who are winning sports games at the highest level, the championship basketball teams, they're operating with that 0.5% of the edge. They got the edge. And so high level performance requires the edge. So go raw vegan, get the edge, up level your life.
Yeah, do it.
Transform.
Try it, you guys.
Go on the hero's journey. That's why my group is called the Raw Vegan Heroes, because we're on the hero's journey.
Yeah, we are.
And you got to let go of the old branch to grab onto the new branch.
Yeah.
And when you let go of that old branch, the cooked food branch, the meat and dairy and eggs branch, when you let go of the old friends, we're trying to reinvent ourselves, but we're surrounded by our old people that don't support us. This is why we need a new community to grab onto the new branch.
Yeah.
You can't reinvent yourself in an environment where everybody's holding you back and thinks you're still that old same person.
Yeah.
That's why we need to create the new community.
Sorry, guys. I had something in my throat.
So the new community helps us reinvent and transform. That's how we can become the phoenix rising from the ashes. Is in a new slate, a clean slate of community, environment, connection, friends, family.
And we need community. We weren't just made to just be isolated. You need that. Literally, you need that.
You need it. It's not optional.
We all need some time alone too. I need my time alone, but you need the community and the connection, or there's something's missing inside otherwise,
Yeah, and that's the principle. One of the principles I talk about in my video course, How to Go Raw Vegan, is accountability. And the crab bucket effect. The crab bucket effect is really the key to understand. And the crab bucket analogy is, there's a fisherman on the pier with a bucket full of crabs, and a guy walks by and he says, "Oh, you got to put a lid on those crabs. They're going to all climb out of that bucket." And the fisherman says, no, the crabs don't need a lid, because if one crab tries to climb out, all the other crabs pull the crab back in. So Misery Loves Company. We are going to have the results of the 5 to 10 people we spend the most time with. So if we don't intentionally create new community accountability in our lives, we're going to get the same results that everybody else has. So if you want to be exceptional, if you want to be raw vegan, you got to create a new accountability group. And that's what Raw Vegan Heroes is for.
Yeah.
That's why I know Raw Vegan Heroes is the most important raw vegan coaching support program in the world, because there's no other level that can provide that new environment for the transformation to happen. It's loving, it's supportive, it's inclusive, it celebrates the lifestyle. It's not about perfection.
Yeah.
It's not about having to be perfectly raw. It's about learning, growing,
being vulnerable, and it's
being
private.
vulnerable.
It's not like you're posting it in the middle of the internet. What about when the crabs are their family members?
Always the crabs are the family members.
Always.
There's no escaping it. Mom's favorite recipe, grandma's traditional pork, pulled pork recipe. Like, there's always the family pressure to fit in. So the important thing to realize is that's who we're going to be breaking away from. That is who we're going to be creating a chasm from, because we're choosing ourselves. We're choosing our own excellence. And it's okay for that to happen, because only through our own empowerment can we help them. So then we can go on to be an empowered entrepreneur, be next level, support people. And then we can say to our mom, hey mom, we can't see eye to eye on this, but I'll buy you a house. We can support people better when we empower ourselves. One of the most inspiring stories on that was when Bedros was talking. I saw him speak live, who went from poverty to $20 million a year. He said that his mom's mindset was so poor that he cannot have a conversation with her, and he has distanced himself from his mom. He bought her a house. He bought all his brothers and sisters cars and houses, everything, but he can't talk to them. And he refuses to talk to them, because he said if he talks to his mother, he will no longer be able to be at the success that he's at now. So he's chosen himself, his success, his impact, his reach over the poor mindset of his family.
Wow.
And that's the bottom line. We do need to choose a new crab bucket intentionally. So Bedros, this guy, and every successful entrepreneur, leader, thought leader, and mindset coach I've ever met that inspires me is someone that has had to distance themselves from their family and their friends.
I used to have a whole other crab bucket before going raw, and it's a way better crab bucket now. People like you and amazing people, and you're awesome. This has been so epic. This has been such a nice first in-person talk podcast, so much more powerful, so amazing, just such flow. And you're such a natural speaker. I have no doubt literally that you're going to achieve all your goals, all your dreams, and just take everything to the moon. And you change people's lives around the globe. You're such an inspiration, and you deserve all the success you have. The universe is rewarding you because you change people's lives and you're on the right path. And thank you for coming to LA. This has really been awesome. So nice to finally meet.
So nice to finally meet. Thank you so much, Gillian.
Yeah. And I want to ask, what's your favorite quote to end off?
My favorite quote of all? Of all time? I actually used it during our talk today. Losing an illusion makes you wiser than finding a truth.
I like it.
My favorite of all time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, let's end it with that. That was amazing. And to everybody, I'll link, if you don't know, I'm sure you know already, but for those of you who don't, I'll link Shane's information down below. All his courses, programs, the juicing program, in case you're wondering how to do a juice fast. We have a great video on that too. And come join Raw Vegan Heroes. Shane started that years ago. I've been in it since 2019. It's life-changing. And I think I'm going to start doing some lives in there maybe, right?
Oh, yeah. Please do.
Yeah, I would love
We're
to.
We're going to have you on, Gillian. One of the Friday live streams. You're going to be one of the first guests who comes and speaks.
Yeah, so I don't do lives anywhere because I don't. So I'm going to do my lives exclusively in there as well, which is going to be awesome. So come in there, ask me questions. Let's connect more. We need connection. We need to support each other. And who knows where you might end up if you start the raw foods journey. And you might end up sitting on this couch with us one day. So just choose yourself, choose self-love, be careful with what you put in your body. And I hope this podcast added some value. If it did, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe. We love you. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.